Let's do it. Here it is. Darklord versus Saul, a grudge match. Saul was the player that took out Darklord and brought Darklord to the losers bracket in the first place. So we'll see if Darklord's able to have any better luck in his second attempt. Turn 1, Dark's Gudra goes for Will-O-Wisp on the Snorlax, and the Snorlax gets burned. So boom, great turn for Dark. The Snorlax goes for Tearful Look, but having your attack dropped is not nearly as bad as getting burned, generally speaking. Dragon Claw versus Mega Punch. Mega Punch actually doing some pretty good damage despite the fact that the Snorlax is burned. You can kind of just imagine, like, what if that Snorlax was not burned? That would have done double damage, and that would have been a big problem. Not sure how good of an idea it is for Dark to be switching out his Gudra for the Snorlax. Gudra is much better at fighting special attackers. But maybe Dark just doesn't have a good answer to Snorlax. Maybe he doesn't have a good switch. And he does win the 1v1. So hard to fault him for that. Here's Latios though, and Gudra probably would be able to finish or to fight a Latios fairly well, but cannot because of how low it got. But Dark does have a Clefable available, so not a huge problem. Here's Raikou from Saul. So based on the Pokemon we've seen, Saul is definitely going all out. He's not gonna leave anything on the table in this battle against Darklord. And now we have a Latios switching into a Rock Blast from Credilli. Gets a decent number of hits. Is that the full 5 maybe? Yep, all 5. Does about half, so that's pretty lucky for Dark to get the 5 hits there. Switches back into Clefable again, getting hit by a Play Rough, and the Clefable goes to about half health here. So this Clefable does have Draining Kiss as well as Strange Steam, I believe was the other attack. So a nice attack set on the Clefable, but this Raikou does have Slack Off, so it's a healing Raikou. Big pain to deal with for Dark. He needs to have some big damage in order to be able to break through that. We'll see if he has it or not. Here's Poliwrath coming in on Credilli. A little bit dangerous possibly because the Credilli could have gone for a grass move, which would have done good damage. Credilli staying in on the fighting super effective stab move from Saul. So the Credilli takes quite a bit of damage there. And the Credilli goes for Overdrive, which again is a little bit weird. Yes, Overdrive is electric and is super effective against Poliwrath. I don't know what this Credilli's grass move is. If he had a similar damaging grass move, it would have been better because of the stab. Maybe he didn't have one, not sure. But Dark realizes that he was going to die if he stayed in, so he switches into Skarmory. But here's this Raikou again. And this kind of is how the battle is going to end up going here. Dark is trying to find a way to battle this Raikou. And he kind of doesn't have one, to be honest. This Raikou goes for Zap Cannon, which is crazy. Going for that 50% accurate attack and hits it first try on the Clefable. Really bad for Darklord there. Especially because Darklord's just really trying to find a way to get into this battle. And that's not a good way to do it. So his Clefable goes down and he switches in Credilli. So if Credilli is his best answer to the Raikou, you can kind of see how that might end up being a problem here. Goes for Zap Cannon, hits it again. Saul making it look super easy to just hit Zap Cannon after Zap Cannon. So the Credilli does heal, so that's nice. So that does mean that this Credilli does have a chance of beating the Raikou. But of course, Saul doesn't want that to happen, so he switches out, and Credilli goes for Overdrive again. Not quite going to kill a Poliwrath, but it can with its next turn if it wants to, assuming it doesn't get paralyzed. Looks like that's what Dark does end up going for, but does Dark have another answer available for the Raikou? First off, I don't know. Second, unfortunately, he did get fully paralyzed, so this Poliwrath does not go down. Also pretty unfortunate for Dark there. So Dark can switch in anything faster than Poliwrath just to finish it off. It goes into Gudra. Is it faster? Yes. So the Poliwrath does go down, but Dark loses his priority switching that he would have gotten if he was able to kill the Poliwrath with the Credilli. Houndoom comes in on Latios, so not a bad switch there, but Saul has a T-Tar. Saul's team is just totally stacked. And we'll see what Dark tries to do against that. Goes for Vacuum Wave, 4 times effective special attack against T-Tar. Gets a crit, doesn't actually kill. So big power, but just short of finishing him off. And so this Houndoom will take an Ancient Power, which also doesn't kill, but gets it kind of weak. So Dark can just go for Vacuum Wave again and kill the T-Tar. So it is overall nice for Dark to be able to finish off that T-Tar with a Houndoom. But not as good as it maybe could have been, because this Latios can just come in and use Play Rough and finish off the Houndoom. So kind of, again, Dark is in trouble because he needs to be thinking, well, wait, how do I kill the Raikou? He has to have a way of killing the Raikou or he'll just lose to it. And he maybe has already lost his answers. Skarmory getting sacked here against the Raikou. Don't actually even remember what else Dark has available. We'll see what he sends in next. So here's the Goodra, and this kind of brings up a point from earlier in the battle. We saw very early that the Goodra traded out with the Snorlax. I liked the burn turn 1. I liked burning the Snorlax, but I think after the Snorlax got burned, it would have made a lot more sense to me to switch into the Skarmory. Because if this Goodra was at full health instead of at 25%, the Goodra maybe could have fought the Raikou. Because look at how little damage this Electro Web is doing. Gets the burn on the Raikou. Hard to say how much of a difference that's going to make, but a little bit of burn chip damage couldn't hurt, I guess. Here's Raikou using Slack Off again, just topping himself off, making sure he's nice and safe. And Dragon Claw, we get to see how much damage that does. Not too much. It's doing maybe like 35%. But again, this Raikou doesn't actually have a way of damaging the Goodra very well. So even though it's not doing enough damage to counteract the healing, this Goodra could have possibly beaten this Raikou, or at very least gotten rid of all of its slack offs, if it did not trade out for the Snorlax early on. Saul actually decides to get rid of his Raikou here. I think he still had some healing available, but he went for the Electro Web, probably hoping that it was going to kill from that range, and it was just short. So he does lose the Raikou just a tiny bit early, but this Latios is still available, and we'll be able to finish off this Goodra here. Talking just a little bit too fast. Goes for Play Rough, finishes it off, and Dark has only one Pokemon left available, which is Golduck as his last. Not a good situation for Dark because Golduck should not be able to hit Latios too hard. We see that his fourth move is Ice Shard, which is nice because it's super effective and priority, but is not going to be doing enough damage to be able to counteract the healing from this Latios. He goes for Octazooka, which is not a bad play because he's in a situation where he needs to do something. He has to beat this Latios with his Golduck. He doesn't have any other choice. So it does make sense in a situation like that to go for Octazooka so that you can get misses like this, because he's in a bad enough situation that he has to go for luck at this point. Because this Ice Shard, again, is just really not doing enough damage. This Latios is kind of low here. So if he had gone for Ice Shard there and got a crit, he maybe could have killed it. He went for Brine instead, trying to get the extra bonus damage because the Latios was below half health, but the Latios just heals up, so it didn't actually matter. And this Latios will pretty much just slowly but surely beat the Golduck. And by the way, in case you were wondering, this is Saul's second to last Pokemon. His last Pokemon was Palisand, and Palisand probably would have lost to the Golduck. So if this Golduck was able to beat the Latios, maybe even if it crit it here or something, maybe something could have happened that Dark could have gotten back into it, but Didn't end up happening, and the Latias heals his way through this Golduck, healing there too, just to be extra safe. And that'll be it. So Saul will move on to battle Milk in the losers bracket finals, the winner of which will go against Merc in the grand finals.